What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rip City Rundown. It is just the two of us today. I think it's episode 71. We
Mm-hmm.
are finally past the trade deadline. All the major changes are behind us. We've now seen two games with the new team, really just one game, this recent win against the Lakers, with the full new players in, Thybulle playing, Reddish playing, even Kevin Knox got a little bit of minutes in garbage time at the end of last night. I've yet to hear Cody's opinions on the trade deadline, so we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about this Gary Payton situation. I know it's past us, but we have some thoughts. I was really close to making a video on it, but I was just like, he doesn't even deserve my time.
Wow.
Uh, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And then we'll talk about the games, talk about everything else and in between. We're currently recording this probably 20 minutes before tip-off of the Wizards game. You guys are obviously seeing this after that game is over, so hopefully we get that win, go into the All-Star break at
Mm-hmm.
500. So just know that game has not been played as we are recording. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. A lot to talk about. It's been a really busy week for me, but happy to be back to talk about some Blazers. Unfortunately, my busy week had to come during the trade deadline talk because so much has happened, so much to talk about. I guess I'll just start with my initial reactions off the
yeah. Let's
trade
start with
deadline
that.
because some positives and some negatives, I would say. I think the Josh Hart trade was solid just because of, the contract extension and all that jazz. But we were probably going to lose him anyway because of the player contract or whatever it's called. So I think that was a smart trade at the end of the day. I love Josh Hart. I have nothing but great things to say about him. I like what he brought to our team. I like the defense. I just like his mentality. And you saw in the Knicks press conference after his first game with the Knicks, he said how great the Blazers organization was and everything. So
That made me like I'm rooting for him so hard in New York.
yeah.
And
Oh
he
yeah,
had
for
20, he
sure.
had 27 last night,
I know. Oh, what a
which is
great debut.
just tough to see, but I'm also happy
it's
for him.
it's a little tough because we were complaining about his shooting here and there. But anyway, nothing but good things to say about Josh Hart. And I think what we got in return was solid. People are gonna say, "Oh, it's a bad trade. The Blazers got fleeced," but like, look at the CJ McCollum trade. What turned into, I guess, Jeremy Grant. I get like we're just getting pieces, getting picks,
Mm.
and getting what we need to get that so-called hopefully big player. Probably by summertime. Unfortunately, our window of winning the championship will probably, or by probably, I mean most definitely not be this year. But yeah, and then the Gary Payton trade. So, everyone is sad or like mad about that because Gary Payton was like, okay, here's the thing. Here's what I'll say about that trade. Yes, it's kind of bad because Gary Payton was a great defensive player and we thought, but just the way it happened, like I almost wanted him to
Mhm.
leave because he showed that he does not care for Portland. He doesn't want to play for Portland. He doesn't want to be in our city. And I don't want a player on our team that doesn't want to be here. If you're not going to try, if you're not going to show up to work, because he could have played, we could argue about his injury here and there, but
Look, I'm just gonna throw it out there. We have a single. We know. We just we hear things. We're not as much as like are just normal fans, and at the end of the day, we are. We know things. We're not going to say how we know them, but you got to trust us, and we know them. Gary Payton, and it's public knowledge too. He was cleared for weeks before
yeah,
he returned. We never forced him to play. We never did anything out of the ordinary that a medical staff wouldn't do. It was all Gary. Gary just didn't feel like he was ready to play, wanted to play. Who even knows? Now that we got Matisse Thybulle, I, I I'm glad to wipe our hands and say that you want to know how I'm looking at it?
how are you
What
looking
if
at it?
what if we didn't even sign Gary Payton? I'm looking at it as if we never signed Gary Payton and the Warriors just gifted us five free second round picks.
You could look at it that way. I mean, but at the end of the day, Gary got his money. Gary is
That's all he wanted.
he's the devil at the end of the day. He got what he wanted.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can both say this. Gary
Just
Payton is a very
yeah.
likable player prior to coming to Portland. Like I was expecting great vibes with him, and I was really happy when we signed him. Would you say you were the
Yeah,
same?
me too. Me too. Me too.
Has your opinion changed like
Yes.
a lot, or are you still
Yes,
like
I
it's
was
hard?
already skeptical. I was already skeptical when he publicly said like the reason I'm coming to Portland is well, my contract's higher, so I got to take this money. So that was an
Yeah,
initial just
yeah,
oof moment, but
yeah,
what really
yeah.
amped my perspective on him in a negative way is just as time went on, him constantly not playing. And I'm like, okay, this is like the
Knowing he
Nurkic.
was cleared.
Yeah, like we're not a tanking team this year. We're trying to win. We got you for one reason, to play some defense. So play some games, bro. We start the season hot, then we start losing, then we hit 500 record, then we go under 500 and are falling below the play-in line, and he's still not back. It's just really, really frustrating because, like I said, yes, we're fans at the end of the day, but we do know some things, and you got to trust us. You don't have to trust us. You don't have to trust us, but we know from sources that he was cleared to play. And if you don't believe us, like I said,
And I think everyone at the end of the day probably knows that. But like that's very true. None of the things that are the Warriors are trying to push out there are true.
yeah. Okay. So what I'll say is yes, the five, what we get, 5 second round picks.
Hmm.
That sounds weak at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, like he didn't want to be here. So I'm kind of happy
And
in that regard.
another reason why I'm fine with it is we literally traded for his replacement an hour before that, and Matisse Thybulle, another guy that is going to come in and play elite defense. He is not as savvy offensively, even though he did go 4 for 6 from three, which we'll talk about against the Lakers last night.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually has Gary Payton, I don't think has ever made an all NBA team as one of the 10 best defenders in the league. He's made an all NBA
Mm-hmm.
team. He's in the 100th percentile in steal percentage, 100th percentile in block percentage, and we saw that last night. He had 3 blocks, including, I don't know if you saw it, the one block where he absolutely flew and blocked the 3-pointer into like the 10th row. Like
Yeah.
this guy, and the best part about him, he is one of the most likable guys I've ever seen, ever rooted for. I already liked him prior to coming because he made, I don't know if you saw, he
Oh,
made some great
the
vlogs,
vlogs.
the vlogs
Yeah,
in the
the
bubble,
vlogs.
amazing vlogs, and I loved them. And I was like, I honestly ended up starting rooting for the Sixers a little bit because I was like, I like Matisse Thybulle. He's now in Portland. He went to
Yep.
high school in Washington, went to college in Washington, and I don't know if you saw his press conference, but he's like, yeah, I used to come down to Portland all the time for weekend trips. I've seen all the waterfalls, and I love it here. I love being wanted. I can't wait to get Nurk and Jeremy out there because I think, I can bring some good defensive culture shifts and into this team, and just
Yep.
everything about him is just like it's one game, but he brings good vibes, unlike
Yeah.
Gary, who brought
Vibes,
some bad
especially
vibes.
polar opposite compared to Gary Payton. Gary Payton just, wanted to. Last thing about Gary Payton, just to wrap it up, my some thoughts about him. Gary, you probably wouldn't be in the league if your dad wasn't in the NBA. Maybe I'm a little salty
Yikes,
at the moment.
yikes, buddy.
I'm gonna say it. You're really annoying. You pissed me off right now. So
Yeah,
I'm a,
you've pissed me
I'm
off
a,
too. I really liked you prior to this. I really
I'm,
did.
I'm gonna leave it at that. You were in the G League. You probably wouldn't like. Sure, you proved yourself once you actually made it to the NBA, and you're a great player. Now I'm not deny it, but
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't leave. You wouldn't be in the league if your dad
Look,
wasn't in the league. You know it. So
if you didn't want to come to Portland,
that's
don't
my
waste our
mid.
time. Don't waste our
That's
time.
yeah. That's my middle finger to you. So back to Matisse. Yes, like I said, great vibes about him.
Yeah,
When you
yeah, you
like
go ahead. Yeah.
when you say like that like he's basically saying he in the press conference he envisioned that our team can actually be a solid defensive team. And when you say that, it's like even if it's not true, it just makes the vibe so much better.
And I
And
think
just saying that your debut game is so good.
this is something, and like when it comes to vibes, like that was it wasn't the game of the year. We could argue the other game we'll talk about, the Warriors game, possibly could have been the game of the year, the Grizzlies game back a couple weeks ago. But this game against the Lakers last night, obviously it helps that you hit 23 threes. I don't know if that was nearing a franchise record, but that was one of the best like so-called vibes games there was all year. Like everyone was happy, everyone was making shots, energy defensively. And I think
Yep.
that's something we said a lot prior to this trade deadline is we may not go out and make the big move, but you have to just make a couple moves, no matter how big, just to get some new energy into the building. Everyone was clowning the Matisse trade, saying, "Why are we trading for Matisse? He can't shoot the ball. He's another guard, even though he's a long guard. He's a guard. We need bigs." And everyone was like, "Why are
Mhm.
we trading Josh for Cam Reddish? He's not going to help us this year." And as much as I like Josh, and as much as like obviously Cam Reddish is not a better player than him right now, just the new vibes in this team. Again, I know
Yep.
it's been one game. It's been
How
one
tall
game.
is he? How tall is he?
Who?
Matisse.
Matisse is, I think, 6'5", but he's got one of the longest wingspans and like as a guard for the
Yeah.
NBA. And then Reddish is a true 6'8". So like he's and
Hmm.
he looks big on the court too. So again, It's a one game. So I don't want to overreact, but that was a very fun game last night that I'm not gonna I tend to overreact to the good more than overreact to the bad. I think
Hmm.
that's just me naturally being a more optimistic fan than being a negative fan because there's no fun in being a negative fan. Because obviously, and let's go ahead and talk about it too, we lose that Thunder game.
Yeah, that was
That was a really frustrating loss because we were up 10 with like 10 minutes left in the fourth, and then we ended up losing by what, like 10 or 15 because they went on a massive run. Shea had 44, and not a
Shed
single
44.
point came from the behind the 3-point line.
I mean, it was just opposite games compared to the Laker game. In the Laker game, we hit the most threes in franchise history in a half in the first half. And
Mhm.
then in the Thunder game, we absolutely just can't make a shot for our lives. Simon goes 1 for 8 from three and gets absolutely cooked, and that's just game.
Yeah,
So,
Shea was toying. He was absolutely toying with us.
yep.
And but that was an example. That's a game where you really wish you had Matisse Thybulle. You could have thrown Matisse Thybulle out there and probably slowed him down a little bit. And at the end of the day, that probably would have been a huge difference in the game.
Are we 0-3 against the Thunder?
We
God,
are.
we can't beat this team. Is that the final
And
game of the season for them?
I assume we'll play one more, or at least one more, given we're like in their division.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
that was Cam Reddish's debut, and in that game he had 11 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 threes, and obviously you can just see it by watching him. He is not in shape. He's Nurk level at the beginning of the season, not in shape because he was on the Knicks' bench and he wasn't playing any games since like the end of November. So that
Hmm.
man is huffing and puffing after like 7 possessions, but again, he's super raw. I do remember him in college. I I like his game. I think he can grow. Again, we call Damian Lillard the best leader in sports. And
Hmm.
if he's the best leader in sports, trust him to try to get the best out of Cam Reddish. That's where I'm standing on this trade. So
Yep.
that was the Thunder
Get
game.
get Gary, get Gary, get the negatives out. Bring in Thibault, bring in positive players,
Yeah.
and yeah.
And then we had the Warriors game. Obviously, that was a back and forth game the entire
Hmm.
way. Dame, another absurd performance, 33 points, 11 assists. I think right now we're seeing probably the best season of Dame's career, which is crazy to say because what is he at now? 31 points?
I cannot
Like,
believe people
I don't think he's
even
ever averaged 31 in his career.
yeah, after his injury, remember going to the season how we were like, is Damian Lillard gonna play and be his normal self? And I think I was a definite yes, and I always have been. But I don't know, you and West were, I feel like,
No, yeah, I
a
remember
little
the
hesitant. You were a little
beginning of the season.
hesitant.
I was like, we literally did. I think it ended up being like a TikTok. It was like, are we gonna what was in or out? It was in or out. Is have we seen the best of Damian Lillard? And I was out, or I was in because I thought the Damian Lillard wasn't gonna have an elite season. I thought that was gonna be because he wasn't gonna have to have his best season. But I also just
Hmm.
didn't think he was ever gonna like get back to that like remember that like 8 game stretch at the beginning of 2020 where he was like 40, 48, 52,
Dame is
41.
averaging Dame is averaging 35 points in 2023.
Sheesh. I
That
he
is ridiculous.
this is the
And you
this is the
also
best stretch of his
posted,
career in my opinion.
yeah, it could be. And this is, yeah, what he dropped 40 last night, and then the Thunder game also 40.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
it's
yeah, I
insane.
don't know if you're about to say it, but I posted something today on the Instagram
Yeah, that's what I was about to
and
say.
it's that the fact that Dame is the number one player in points per possession and isolation this season. He's averaging 1.299 points per possession. The only person remotely close to him is Kyrie Irving, who is at 1.227. And that is basically, in other words, he is the best one-on-one player in the league right now. And
Yeah, and he's
I
31.
still think, and I think it's crazy to say this, he is underrated right now.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
underrated right now. Eh,
I think he's definitely top, maybe, okay, I'm not gonna say five, but definitely top 10 lock for MVP race, in my opinion.
he should
But
be, and I don't even think he is. But he
and here's,
and
yeah,
here's
and
what
he's
here
also
yeah.
just, he's 32. So it's like we always look at the longevity and the long term of how he's gonna, when is he gonna decline? And he's 32 and having his best season, even if he were to start declining slowly, like that just shows how big our window is, I guess, when it comes to Dame, because guards break down, in their early 30s.
Yeah.
But Dame's having his best season at age 32, dude.
And the reason I say he's still underrated is because I I don't even know how it's a conversation in my opinion, but obviously Steph gets hurt. He's not starting the All-Star game anymore. And it's Ja Morant that starts over Dame. Even though Ja's averaging like 27, he's he's 16 and 16 against the West, but I thought he was fine in the West. He even lost to
Yep.
the Blazers.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's a thug.
Yep. He thinks he's a thug.
No, he
He's
just
drawing guns on people. Like,
oh man, that that made me mad because I even think Shea deserves it over him more. Shea's averaging 30.
yeah, Dame is just so much more consistent. Oh my god.
Oh, man, it's
This bug can't shoot. Like it pisses me off, man. Dame should be ahead.
uh,
It's been his whole career. You know, I'll say Luca is playing, better than Dame now. I mean,
oh
even
yeah,
though
I'm fine with
okay,
Luca
I'm
being in
fine with
over
that.
him.
But like in 2020, 2019, that wasn't the case. But people were putting him over him and being like, Luca deserves the All-Star starter spot. Dame has just been snubbed from any All-Star related, anything All-Star related. He's been snubbed every single season of his career, and it pisses me off. We can't do anything about it. He's averaging the third most points in the NBA, like 35 points in 2023, and he's not. Yeah, he's underrated. Thank you.
Yeah. You know you're having an insane season when if you want to bet on his points right now, the over under is 36. 36.
No,
I
no,
don't
no, 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 no. Ja Morant starter. Get that.
yeah. That really made me mad. But it just it makes you a little disappointed that the Blazers didn't do more this deadline because of how good Dame's playing. But at the same time, I really don't think there was a path to getting some star player this deadline.
Yeah, I'm sure Joe Cronin was making all the calls, all the big moves.
Yeah.
Everyone's blaming him for not making a big move, when in reality, he was probably doing everything he
And
could.
Joe Cronin said in his press conference exactly what I thought he was doing. He said we were looking to try to make a big impactful move to get high quality players. None of them worked out, so we pivoted and we wanted to then focus on getting assets that just and trying to win every single deal we did. It's really funny because everyone in Portland was so mad at the Josh Hart deal. They're like, you traded Josh Hart for Cam Reddish and just a first.
Hmm.
Everyone outside of Portland is like, the Blazers just did an amazing job. They just got a first round pick and a guy that everyone knows has potential to be a solid NBA player one day for a guy that they're just going to lose in free agency. So,
Hmm.
for the most part, Joe Cronin, like on each trade was a good trade for the Blazers.
Hmm.
Obviously, he didn't make the big trade that everyone was looking for, but I think this summer is is the time for the Blazers. If they make the playoffs, they can start trading all their picks in the future. If they miss the playoffs, they get they have a lottery pick plus that Knicks pick.
Hmm.
They can make some big moves. Hey, if lo and behold we end up missing the playoffs, which is like probably more likely than making it,
Hmm.
what if the NBA somehow lets us luck into Victor Wembanyama? That's just what if. I'm not
I,
gonna.
I, I said we'd start the year 5-0, and we did just that. So I don't see how that could be out of the
Okay,
question in
I
terms of
also posed this
crazy things
question.
to happen.
I
But
posed this question on Twitter and I think Instagram too. If I told, like, obviously when the schedule came out, we were kind of like, oh gosh, we have a really tough schedule at the beginning of the season.
hmm.
Obviously, we ended up playing a lot better at the beginning of the season than we thought we would. But if I told you right after the preseason ended, when we didn't win a game except for one game against some Israeli team,
Hmm.
and I told you we were going to be possibly 500 at the trade deadline with the easier half of our schedule coming up and only 2 games back of the 5 seed, would you have signed up for that or would you have said, no, I don't want that. I want to, I would rather
Mm.
risk it. It's an interesting question. I think the fact that I think we are getting very frustrated with the fact that we're the 11 seed, which really sucks right now because we're obviously outside the playoffs. But again, we keep saying it, a 5 game winning streak and we're the 6 seed. The gist is We are we're in a position where we control what like obviously we control our own destiny, blah blah blah, but we're right in the thick of things. We're right in the thick of things.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to tell me we were 500 at the trade deadline, I'd probably be slightly disappointed because I really did expect this roster to play better. And it's also because we haven't really been injured this year. That's a huge thing. We've been injured every single.
I
No,
want to
not really,
I
not
want to
really.
I want to push back on that, I think. You
I
want to know
don't know,
why I
man.
want to push back on that?
I will take any season that's like this in terms of
Here
injuries so far.
here's my reasoning on why. Obviously, we haven't had the big season-ending injury.
Knock on
Knock
wood.
on wood.
Thank you.
I'm knocking on wood.
Yeah, let me see it. Do you have your camera, please?
I can't move that down.
All right, that was stupid. All right, anyway, what?
But Dame missed what, 15 games, 13 games? He's probably missed a third of the games.
Mm-hmm. No,
I think he probably
less than a third.
we're
Less than a
29.
third.
What are we? 29 and 29? Or 28 and
Yeah.
29? That's okay, yeah. A little less a quarter of the games,
Okay.
which obviously I guess isn't necessarily a lot. But then we've had we're having nerf we haven't had the big injury, but we just keep having we can't get the team fully healthy. We have not played a game this season with every single player available, which
I mean, I
might
think.
be something unrealistic. I don't know, but like as much as Justice Winslow isn't necessarily like a big name, he's super important to this team because he brings the glue. He's the glue
I
guy.
I
Gary
mean,
Payton,
I
as
think
much
if
as
you
we hate
were,
him, he was out for 2 months.
yeah, if you were to rank every NBA team, like first team is the most injured team this season. Where do you think you put us? Just a rough estimate.
Probably
Like what
in
one
the
is most injured, 30.
somewhere between like 10 and 15.
Yeah, and I would honestly take that
That
because
might
the
be
thing
I
is,
might be completely wrong by that too.
I would guess that too. And the thing with that, like statistic, it's not a statistic. It's just a thing I was thinking about. But you just don't want to be in that top five. Like you will do anything to not be in that top five. Like
I think you're in that
that
top
is,
five if you're a team like I don't know, like the Pelicans, where like Zion's been out for a month now, or like Brandon Ingram was out for a while. Anytime your star's out for a long period of time, that can kill your season. Some people deal with it better than others, but
yeah, for
yeah,
sure. But sure, the injuries could get better. Hey, all I'm gonna say is I'm not like too disappointed. I don't know. I guess you bring up a good point how a lot of players have missed a lot of games, but whatever. We're average, and I'll take that because I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to complain about how we're injured and then boom, we get the big injury because that would suck. So,
no, I agree with that.
um, you want to
I,
talk about
I,
All Star break?
we can talk a little bit about All-Star break. First off, Dame and Ant in the 3-point contest.
Yes, sir.
Do you think one of the two wins?
Obviously, I think Dame's gonna win. Let's go. Come on, man. Who do you
Okay.
think you're talking to? Who's
Do you
playing?
think
Who else?
it's Dame Ant? I saw Jason Tatum's in it. I saw
I don't know
Kevin
at all who's in
Herter's
it.
Kevin Herter's in it. Um,
You know, Dame's probably like not the best wide open 3-point shooter because
oh,
literally every single
I
shot he takes
just
is
feel like he always. Here we go.
contested.
It is Jason Tatum, Kevin Herter, Tyler Hero, Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, and Lowry Markkanen.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough
So
competition, but I think
that's interesting. I if I actually were to like
Dame's the best
have to
shooter in
choose,
that
I
group
think
straight up. So I'm gonna say Dame. I think Dame
for some
does have the
reason I feel
biggest
like
chance to
I don't
win.
think Dame. I think Simons has a better chance to win than Dame. For some reason I feel like Dame, like you just said, Dame doesn't hit wide open shots, and Dame has been in the 3-point contest before, and if I remember correctly, he didn't perform that well.
Maybe just small sample size. I don't know. Maybe,
But if
but
Simons wins, he'll now be a dunk contest winner and a 3-point contest winner. I don't know if anyone's ever done
yeah,
that. You never know. Obviously,
I don't know,
No
but
Sharp in the dunk contest anymore, which is very
that
disappointing
sucks. That
because obviously he
sucks.
had that huge hammer down. But ever since he made that announcement that he wanted to focus on the second half of the season, he
Yeah,
has
he has
played
been.
really well,
Yeah.
and he looks like just a much more comfortable player. He's gone 13 points, and 15 points in his past 3 games, and he
hmm
shot over 50% from the field and 50% from three in all 3 of those games. He is
Yep.
playing really sound basketball. and he's making the smart play. Last night, I think he had his most assists ever. I think he had 4 assists, maybe 5 assists. He had a couple steals last night. He honestly making an argument to possibly move into the starting lineup because right now with Grant out, again they're starting Matisse and Cam Reddish, but I think I don't know about lineups, but I'm just saying maybe not the starting lineup. He's playing himself into a lot more minutes. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, even if we weren't to keep him, if we were to trade him for that insane win now player that we need, like his value is so high right now, so high. Not even
Yeah.
20 years old and he's doing all of this. Are you kidding me? And like, other than Dame, he's probably the best player on our team for his age. Like, I don't know if you can correlate that graph, like how you even
He
measure that
probably
actually.
is. He
But like,
probably is.
but like, he is insane. And not only because, okay, I think our expectations when we first got him were like here and knew they're here, but he's also just improving so much faster than
Yeah, I had
we
no
anticipated him
expectations
to
for
as well.
him his first year because I knew how raw of a prospect he was, not playing at all. Like this kid didn't play in college. I say this kid, I guess he might be younger than me, honestly. He's probably around my age.
He's like 3 months
Exactly.
older than you.
Oh, you know his birthday?
March, I think.
Yeah, Shiloh probably has memorized it.
Yeah.
But it's I think he's exceeding my expectations at least for his rookie year. And
Everyone's who's yeah.
obviously everyone has high hopes for him, but I didn't expect him to actually put together something like this um, his rookie season. So that's been an encouraging thing. And I think that's just why I'm so optimistic about this team right now. I'm not gonna lie, going into that game last night, I was like, we're not, we probably are gonna lose to the Lakers. I was thinking we were gonna lose because starting Cam Reddish and Matisse Thybulle, 2 players that kind of got kicked to the curb at their last franchises,
Hmm.
not a good look. On top of that, starting Drew Eubanks at center, who we still know is not a starting center, as good as he's played. He's not a starting center. But we obviously have this one game left before the All-Star break. It's already started probably at this point. And yeah, it's 2-2. Cam Reddish makes a layup.
Beautiful.
If we win this game, vibes are great going into the All-Star break. You get like 5 days or probably a whole week to just relax, get healthy, and honestly gel as a team, get these new guys in there. Chauncey's gonna have plenty of time to figure out what he wants his rotations to be, who he wants to start.
Hmm.
And I think we realistically could really hit the ground running hard coming out of the All-Star break. I want to look at our schedule
Hmm.
coming out of the All-Star break. We go Kings, Rockets, Warriors. Kings, Rockets, Warriors.
Winnable games, and we're playing the Wizards tonight. We should be them. You guys know the result as we're watching this. At least we're not in the Wizards situation, playing someone 60 million to be a 10 seed. Oh wait, that's what we're doing. But
Also, by the way, next week I will be attending the Hawks. Not next week. Wow, no.
next
Uh,
month. You're going to a
beginning of
Hawks
March.
game.
Beginning
It's
of March
uh-huh.
when the Hawks go to the
What's the arena called? State Farm?
State Farm
No.
Arena.
Oh, it is State Farm. What's Houston? Oh, Houston's Toyota.
Houston's Toyota.
Toyota, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Center Ranker, Mr. Arena
Yeah.
Ranker.
Hopefully we beat. Fun fact: my dad played with the Wizards head coach in Johns Hopkins in D3 college basketball.
Oh,
Fun little
Unseld
fact there.
Jr.
Is
Wes
that his
Unseld
name?
Jr. I think that's his name.
Wes. Yeah, Wes something.
Yeah.
Anyway, quick little fun fact there. Um,
Okay. Let's. I don't know if I want to go ahead and I'll pull up those predictions again. Okay.
all right, let's
That we
do it.
have. If you want to hear some records now.
All
So
right.
Cole, the Wizards game is technically still going, so I can't update that. But I said we were going to go 4-0 this week. We're currently
Mm-hmm.
2-1. We obviously beat the Warriors and Lakers, so that's 2 wins for me. My record is now 4-5, pending this uh, Wizards game. West, we'll go ahead
Yep.
and say what West did. He said we were going to beat the Warriors, beat the Thunder, lose to the Lakers, and beat the Wizards. He
Mm-hmm.
um goes to so he got one exactly right. So he goes to 3-6.
Yikes.
Cody, you came in 1-5. Haven't
Yeah,
been getting
yeah.
them perfectly right. Cody said we were going to lose to the Wizards. We
Hmm.
beat the or lose to the Warriors. I mean, we
Hmm.
beat the Warriors. Cody said we would beat the Thunder. We lost to the Thunder. Cody said we would lose to the Lakers. So Cody goes to a whopping 1-8.
No, that's funny. Oh, that's funny.
Cody says
Hey,
we are going to beat the Wizards tonight.
hey, I
So
said I said we were gonna go 1-2 because I know we would be wrong, so that we would actually win our games. I'm playing chess, not checkers, guys. Come on,
I love it.
cut
I
me some
love it.
slack. Thanks.
Okay, but I don't have the schedule pulled up. Let me pull it up real quick. The games we got.
But come on, who would bet
Oh
we
no, wait.
lose
We have
against the
no we have
Thunder
no
again?
we have no games before the next podcast, so there are no predictions to do.
There are no
We just
predictions
have the
because of the
All-Star
All-Star.
break.
How
I
about
don't
some
even know if
All-Star
we'll
predictions
I don't
for
even know. Will
fun?
we do it? Will we do an All-Star pod? Then we probably still will. Going over how Dame did maybe or 3-point con. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or we'll
when
do
Dame
some talk
wins.
for
Yeah,
the predictions for the second half of the season. All-Star predictions. What do you mean by that?
I don't know, just who you think's gonna win. I don't know the contestants for any of the events. I mean, you said the 3-point
Okay,
contest.
well,
Like I said, I'm going for
dunk
Dame.
contest is one of the middest dunk contests of all time without Sharp now. It's Trey Murphy the third from the Pelicans. Is Jericho Sims from the Knicks. Talking
Hmm.
about two just the young, just mid-role players right now. Obviously, they do
Hmm.
some things well, I guess, but not supposed to be in the dunk contest name-wise. Mac McClung, who's in the G League.
Hmm. Mac McClung.
Yeah,
I've never
okay.
even heard about
Honestly,
him.
he's he went like famous for like high school mixtapes, and he was one of those guys that like he's white and he has some crazy hops. So
And you had to mention his way. Interesting.
because that's kind of what makes him so.
I
Never
see
mind.
what you mean. Yeah.
Never mind. Um, and then I forget who the last person is in the dunk contest. Let me see.
God, Shaden Sharp. Why?
It's
That's
fine. Hey,
unfortunate.
if it means he's gonna play like he's playing right now, I'm all for it. Sure, I would
That's
have loved to see him, but
come on. That's no correlation.
and then the
We
last one
want
is
to see
Kenyon
him.
Martin Jr., who, believe
Oh
it or
yeah,
not,
he was pretty good.
I don't know if you remember this at all.
Hmm.
We went to that Les Schwab Invitational. I think it was 2020, right before COVID. He was on Sierra Canyon, and we saw him play.
I don't remember him, but
Yeah, so
you can throw it down.
I'm not going to predict that. But
Yeah, who knows?
do you
And that's
think
that's just a name draw from a hat.
do you think Dame gets a lot of minutes? I think you could argue Dame does. I really don't know. All-Star game, honestly,
I haven't watched the actual All-Star game in like a long time, but
yeah, I rarely watch the actual All-Star game either.
I just watched the dunk contest and a
The
couple of
dunk
the
contest,
events.
like as much as people say like the dunk contest is dying, because obviously is, which is tough.
Yeah.
It's also because there's only so many dunks a human can possibly do. We've done this now for like 30 plus years. Like the ideas were running out, so I think it's still entertaining. 3-point
2016.
contest is cool. It's not insane.
Where is All-Star?
It's
This
in Utah.
mm, cool.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully the
Well,
Blazers come out of this game tonight with a W. That would be huge. That would be absolutely
keep the
huge.
score.
It is 11-7.
11-7.
Dame
Dame
hit a
has a
three. It's freaking
three.
Tingus Pingus, who I swear always goes off against the Blazers. He's got
Porzingis.
9 already. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to give a shout out to just everyone that's listened, watched, followed on any social media platform or YouTube. The last week or two has been one of the most like successful weeks of this channel's existence. I gotta say that was one of the reviewing the Trailblazers trade deadline podcast was one of the most viewed podcasts we've ever posted. We're now
Mm-hmm.
2 subscribers away from 3,000. We made a big like 60 subscriber jump in the last week. And then on Instagram, we're a little over 300, under 300 away from 300 followers. And
Yep.
that jumped like 200 followers the last 2 weeks. So shout out
Yep.
to you
It's
guys.
awesome.
Spotify's even actually like we got like 70 listeners on Spotify, which for some reason Spotify views just are
Not as good as YouTube, but
no, obviously they're not as good, but like 70 views feels so So I feel like if people listen to our podcast on Spotify, that's so cool. I don't know why.
No,
I don't know why.
that's
I don't
awesome.
know why.
And our TikTok's probably I'd say a month away from 10K, so that's
Oh,
also a big
that'll feel
milestone
good.
there. That will feel good about
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, back to you guys. Thank you. Thank you for all that.
Yeah.
Big time rumor going around Portland and the basketball team. I don't know if you saw this at all.
Hmm.
There's reportedly a Blazers player dating Kendall Jenner, who notoriously has dated players and they've ended up being not they've ended up like going on cold streaks while they're dating her. Notoriously Ben Simmons. Jeremy Grant's reportedly dating Kendall Jenner,
What?
which is just so weird. And
Kendall
it's
Jenner
really
getting
it's
Kendall Jenner getting passed around.
yay, hey.
Uh,
What were you
it's
about to
dating
say?
all these NBA players. I'm not saying anything.
Well, Jeremy's also kind of like slowed down from three ever since that became a rumor. So
Jeremy
that's just
slowed
the
down.
funny thing. And he got a concussion.
Coincidence? I think not, but I did not hear that
I
rumor.
did probably didn't even need to mention that, but
All right,
I thought it was
this is
funny.
hey, this is pretty stupid. It shows you how little I actually care about female model celebrities. But can you explain to me who Kendall Jenner is?
You know, Kim Kardashian?
Yes,
It's
obviously.
her sister, I think.
Her sister. Okay.
She's like, and do you know who like Bruce Jenner is or Caitlyn Jenner? The guy,
So
it's like the
OJ lawyer's daughter's sister.
OJ.
OJ's lawyer was Kardashian.
Oh, he was? I didn't even know that. I didn't know how the Kardashians got famous in the first place. Well, I do know Caitlyn Jenner, who's like the first notorious trans person, is like her dad, but her dad is obviously now a woman.
Yeah, I don't care
It's
about
the
this topic.
Kardashians, but she's like, if you looked up Kendall Jenner on Instagram, she has
Like over 100 probably.
276 million followers. She's like one of the
Yeah,
most followed people on Instagram.
and I still barely know them. Is that more than Ronaldo and King James? That'd
I
be
think
insane.
Ronaldo and Messi are the two most, but she's probably top five. She
Yeah.
has 276. King James has
Come on, let's be honest. Rip City Rundowns. We're
King
catching
James has
up.
146. So
Rip
she's
City
almost doubled
Rundown.
him.
Watch out, Kendall. Rip City Rundown's going on the grind for followers. We're gonna pass you in like
Yeah, but
a few years.
I don't know what she does. She's just famous. Maybe I think she might be a model. But I
Might
just
be.
saw a
Yeah.
lot of people complaining because they're like, that's why Jeremy's playing. Which
Yeah.
is so
Well,
tough.
didn't D-Book date her?
I'm gonna pull up a list of players that have dated her. I
A
think me.
list. Yeah.
NBA players who have dated Kendall Jenner. Wow,
How many?
there's
10?
six on here.
6?
Seven, not including
7.
Jeremy. So we have D'Angelo
Uh-huh.
Russell when he
Uh-huh.
was with the Lakers. You want to know what happened after that? He notoriously got traded because he was playing bad. Chandler Parsons, who went on to retire. Jordan Clarkson, who has been a good NBA player. Blake Griffin in 2017 broke up in 2018. He fell off after
Absolutely
2018.
fell off after 2018. Yep.
Ben Simmons,
Wow, we don't need to talk about that. Probably the
Kyle
biggest fall off.
Kyle Kuzma,
He was getting a lot of hate on the Lakers. Was it the year 2020, probably?
uh, 2019,
Yep, right
and
before.
then
Well, he got
Devin Booker, who went on to lose in the finals while they were dating and get absolutely blown out in Game Seven
yeah, Booker.
against the Rockets or not
Yeah,
Rockets against the Mavericks.
that's probably what caused
They
the
dated for a
breakup.
while though,
She
but
didn't. She
she loves NBA players.
Booker thought he was getting 2 rings that summer, but he got 0. And then Jeremy Grant.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, that was probably not really that relevant to speak on, but thought it was funny.
yeah, a
And
little
if it is
funny.
true, it is also just funny if that's why he struggled a little bit. But I think that's all we got for
Hmm.
this episode. West will be back next podcast, and also me and Wes just recorded the first episode of the new podcast. Doesn't have a name yet. I put something on Instagram to see if people wanted to drop any names. I don't know if anyone did. We got one person
Hmm.
that said off the trail, which is a very interesting name because it's like
That's not bad.
we're off the Trailblazers topics.
I like that. I like
That's a
that.
very interesting name, and that's something we'll have to discuss. But it'll kind of be always West on that podcast, and he'll bring in me and Cody every once in a while, probably
Hmm.
rotate every week. But we talk about Super Bowl halftime shows and just the Super Bowl in general. So be on the lookout for that, probably dropping at the end of this week sometime. So that's it. Make sure to go follow the Instagram and Twitter. Go listen on Spotify if you prefer that. And then like this video on YouTube. We'll see you in the next podcast next week. Peace.
Yep.